Hey, have you been told you have arthritis in your spine? Are you concerned that you have spinal arthritis? Do you have a loved one that you care about that has spinal arthritis, or you're not sure if they do? If that's the case, you definitely want to listen into what I have to say today. So if this is you, feel free to share this video. If you have some value from what we're about to talk about, make sure you share and like the video. And we're going to talk about 5 things that you can kind of have in your brain about spinal arthritis. I'm going to hit some broad strokes, but first, this is Dr. Andrew Smith from the Head and Neck Centers of Excellence. And listen, out of the last 10 new practice members that we had come in, 6 of them had arthritis in their spine. And guess what? 4 of those people, they were under the age of 45. So this is something that's common. Anyone really can have this. So I'm going to give you 5 broad stroke ideas and tips that you kind of start to think about when it comes to arthritis of your spine. And my very first tip is this. The first thing you want to do is you want to find out what kind of arthritis do you have. There are, in most cases, there's general 2 big categories of arthritis. There's going to be what's called osteoarthritis, which is kind of wear and tear, bone breakdown, joint erosion through time and repetition. And then there's something called autoimmune arthritis or inflammatory arthritis. And that arthritis is typically when your body is attacking itself. It's recognizing the joints as foreign and it literally attacks them. So arthritis in your spine is when the bones wear out, almost like rust, and it can affect the cartilage and the joints and the surrounding tissue around the joints, and it can be a problem. So that's the first thing I would do is find out, hey, what kind of arthritis do I have? Osteoarthritis or some type of autoimmune arthritis? It will definitely help you map out the best plan of action to care for that. The second tip that I have is figure out if your body is having problems with what's referred to as ADLs, which is activities of daily living. Do you have problems and joint stiffness and pains and aches doing things you would do every day, like brushing your teeth or getting up out of the chair? I know patients come in and they say, well, every time I look over to change lanes, I can barely move my neck. That's a clue. You may begin to have some bones and joints that are breaking down, not moving properly, wearing out. So check your activities of daily living, and if you're having consistent trouble with that, it might be an indication you might have some arthritis in your spine. You may want to check it out. Which brings me to my next point. If that's the case, make sure you, if that's happening to you, get a physical exam. Make sure you get checked to see and not just guess, hey, hopefully this will go away. If it's lingering, make sure you get it checked. It's going to be real important that somebody have a look at that. The next tip is get an x-ray. The baseline that you want to establish is, hey, how bad is my spinal arthritis? How bad are these joints broken down? It could be kind of on the mild side, or it can be filled with the bone breakdown and what's called spurring and joint margin erosion. And that could bump into nerve tissue, create muscle weakness and pain, and numbness and tingling, can create headaches if it's in the upper spine. So real important that you kind of map out what phase or stage of arthritis in your spine do you have, and that will also give you some type of inclination on what things you can do to manage your arthritis. You cannot cure arthritis. Typically, there's no cure. But what you can do, if you really take action, is you can manage it. You can slow it down from getting worse. You could certainly become stable. So those are some things you want to start to think about when you're thinking about spinal arthritis. My 4th tip is figure out and establish a game plan of what kind of physical activities you should be doing and not doing. Sometimes doing too much actually irritates your arthritis, and certainly doing nothing is usually not good at all for arthritis. So you want to go to a professional and establish what physical movements you should be doing and create a routine. We all know that discipline determines destiny, and if you look 4, 5, 6 years out of your life, the habits you're doing now are going to make the break the way your arthritis changes or doesn't change, or stabilizes or doesn't stabilize. So it's real important to establish a physical routine. What spinal care should you have or not have? These are important factors. And then finally, my 5th tip when it comes to spinal arthritis is know what nutrients should be put into your body. Sometimes there are things you should definitely be avoiding, like fried foods, processed foods, foods that are high in sugar. You should avoid sometimes foods that are cooked at a high temperature have been known to kind of irritate arthritis. So you want to be careful about what foods you're putting in, because that can also have a dramatic effect on the inflammatory process and bone breakdown that you have. So listen, if you're having spinal arthritis, PM me. I'd love to know what challenges are the most difficult for you when you're dealing with your spinal arthritis, and maybe I can fill you in on some of the gaps, what you might be missing the mark, and hopefully steer you in the right direction. And as always, this is Dr. Andrew Smith signing off for another Tuesday afternoon Facebook Live. Hope you enjoyed, and as always, stay healthy. See you next time. Bye-bye.